Hey, what's up? How you doing, everyone? It's James and Mario here, along with our latest SwitchWatch recruit, it's Pumbaa. Yes, we're back with another episode of our weekly eShop sales roundup, where we scour the eShop and find you the best bargains. This week, it's the US eShop spring sale. Let's jump in and take a look at these deals. As always, we give away a $10 eShop voucher to one person who shared their pick of the week. So be sure to leave us a comment down below and we will announce last week's winner later on. I'm heading back in time for my pick of the week. Flashback is one of the most iconic games in history. I remember it from the Amiga all those years ago. It is a wonderful adventure that set the scene for future generations. A sci-fi puzzle platformer that is ruthless. On the Switch, you can get by with some help, making things easier, but can still experience the original, intended, tough gameplay as well. This updated version lifts the experience, but make no mistake, this is still a very old game with the original mechanics. It's one that every gamer should probably experience, and through my rose-tinted glasses, it's still an epic and wonderful experience. With a stunning 95% off, this is a brilliant trip down memory lane. Juan, Jordan, what are your picks this week?
Thank you very much, James. My pick of the week, or should I say picks of the week, are Slain Back from Hell and Valfaris Double Pack. I love both of these games for a lot of reasons. I love the pixel art used in both with that old school gameplay, which is accompanied by a killer rock soundtrack. Slain Back from Hell was the first game on Switch from Steel Mantis, the developer, and then they went and improved on it with Valfaris, where you get to wield an array of deadly weaponry. Again, the combat is absolutely brutal, and the soundtrack is bloody amazing. If you've not played either of these games and are looking for some great action platformers, then bag both for the amazing price of £14.39 in the UK with an incredible 60% off, or for our friends in the USA and EU, it's $15.99. If you really want to go all out, then visit signatureeditiongames.com and you can buy both in their physical versions, which will cost you substantially more. I have both, and believe me, I think they're well worth it. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you next week.
Hey everyone, how you all doing? I hope you're all well and healthy. It's Jordan here with my pick of the week. I'm going to go for an all-time classic, the Phoenix Wright Trilogy. Now, unfortunately, this is only on sale in North America right now, but it's 50% off, and I think that's a crazy price for how much quality you're getting here. 60 hours of just excellent story, memorable characters, humor, and puzzle solving. These three games have it all, and I love them. You don't have long to pick this one up, however, as the North American sale ends on April 29th, so you'll need to act fast if you want to pick it up for $15 rather than $30. Alright guys, that's my pick of the week. Take care.
Great picks there, guys. Next up, it's Overcooked 2. This one caught me by surprise. I picked it up when it went on sale, and I found myself playing it with my girlfriend non-stop. It's not a bad game when played solo, but it's clearly intended to be played together in local co-op. The goal is to serve up dishes by collaborating. One of you chops whilst the other prepares food and serves. It's simple at first, but it gets complex very quickly, leading to some genuinely tense and hilarious moments. You can play locally with up to 4 players as well as online, and with 40% off, I strongly recommend it. Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime is a game you should play with friends to control your ship, with each person being in charge of different parts of the craft, from one of you controlling it to the other manning turrets and shields. Working as a team is key to exploring the galaxy successfully and triumph against the evil forces which are anti-love. Ships are upgradable and the experience is different every time due to the randomized levels. Pick this up now with 50% off in all regions, you won't be disappointed. Siberia III concludes this point-and-click adventure series by bringing the series up to speed with 3D graphics. At its release, it got some poor reviews, and these were justified. The controls are definitely better suited to a mouse and keyboard, and the visual performance isn't perfect. The voiceover work is also a mixed bag, but for all of those negatives, there is a decent story here with healthy gameplay and solid puzzles. Would I recommend it at its original price? Definitely not. With 80% off, perhaps. If you're a fan of the series, or indeed you like a good adventure game, this could be for you. Juan loved Ghostbusters on the Switch when he reviewed it, which you can check out by clicking at the top right hand side. Here we have a very authentic experience. If you love the movies, then this has the voices and in-game likeness of Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd Harold Ramis and Ernie Hudson in an original story. None of that would matter if the gameplay sucked, and thankfully it does not disappoint. Catching ghosts has never been so fun with upgradable weapons and destructible environments. We loved it and are sure you will too. This is the deepest discount we are yet to see on this one. It's a game movie time done well, and that is not something you can say often. Cyber Protocol is an arcade puzzle game set in a Tron-like cyberpunk world. You impersonate the main hero whose mission is to bring his android friend back to life by activating the protocol. The story doesn't really feature all that much, as they rarely do in puzzle games. That said, the 100 levels of Pac-Man inspired action are fast-paced and frantic. The levels quickly ramp up to being tough. There is co-op for up to 4 on offer here, along with high scores and a tougher mode for those that really want to ratchet up the difficulty and get that punishment. The soundtrack is particularly a highlight, and it's straight out of the 80s with neons everywhere. All in all, a solid package at less than £1. The first thing that grabs your attention with Gunhouse is its quirky and fantastical art style that is cartoony in a graffiti sort of way. The next is its funky jamming together of tower defense and the tile matching puzzle gameplay. The game has 2 sections to it. In the first, you need to swipe in order to match columns and fill your guns with ammunition. You then switch to the tower defense portion, where you need to time your gun shooting to defend against waves. When doing this with a control pad, it's not the best experience. Starting out life on mobiles, this is definitely best played by swiping. An interesting genre mashup worth checking out now that its price has come down all the way to just $1 or 89p. Yesterday Origins is a point-and-click adventure with a rollercoaster story set across different time periods. It mixes in a bit of the occult and history and some humour. The story is brought to life by voice acting that works well, a decent script and nice visuals. The gameplay is the classic point-and-click affair. You try to solve puzzles using visuals or text-based clues, and at some point you start hitting and hoping. The biggest issue here was that the game was, in our opinion, overpriced. Now that that's fixed, with 67% off, this is worth considering. Another point-and-click adventure, this time with a very healthy 90% off. Irony Curtain's title lets you know you are in for some tongue-in-cheek laughs, and the writing here is superb. Ultimately, the story is rather dark, but it's presented in a light-hearted package that keeps it upbeat. As for the puzzles, they are intuitive and clever. The difficulty is there, but the puzzles don't feel unsolvable or bizarre. There are some nice mini-games throughout that add a slightly different dimension to this ever-expanding genre on the Switch. Cave Blazers is an action-focused platformer roguelike set in a fantasy world. Each game is unique, with procedurally generated levels to explore and a massive amount of items, weapons, and equipment to discover. As you delve deeper into the cave, things get tough very quickly. Runs will take just 5 to 10 minutes, making this a decent pick-up-and-play title. This genre is packed full of epic titles, and this sadly isn't one of them. Not because it's no good, but because it doesn't particularly stand out. Nevertheless, for a tough roguelike at less than £5, it's an enjoyable adventure that does everything just well. As I mentioned at the top of this video, this week is the US eShop Spring Sale. From here on in, the rest of these games are only on sale in the US, but for those of you outside of the US, fear not. You can purchase games in other regions relatively easily. In the description, you'll find a link to a handy guide on how to do just that. Alien Isolation is a tense game. The movies that inspired it are fantastic at building tension, and this replicates that creeping sense of dread extremely well. As you make your way around the ship, you are never in any doubt that you are being stalked by an ultimate predator. The audio is used really well here, and you will be screaming, running for a locker to hide in as soon as the xenomorph gets near. With 30% off, this horror game is certainly tempting. Flipping Death's premise is basically that of the wonderful Terry Pratchett Discworld book Mort. After dying, your character Penny is mistaken by Death as her temporary replacement while he swans off on a well-deserved break. It makes for a great story. Gameplay-wise, it's similar to Stick It to the Man, with its quirky style and mechanics that have you meddling with the locals by possessing them. Whilst it has a bit of platforming, this is mostly a point-and-click adventure game with a great story and bags of character. The original Steamworld Dig is a fascinating adventure with a wonderful exploration and upgrading loop where you played as a lovable robot named Rusty. This time around, you play as his friend Dorothy and you're searching for your buddy. Image and Form kept much of the same formula. It's still a great adventure about digging in this subterranean world, exploring and using the loot to upgrade yourself, becoming stronger and able to delve further. But what it does really well is in adding enough new features to keep it fresh. One example is that this time around the underground is not randomized. Instead, it's a sprawling sprawling world that feels tighter because it's been crafted carefully. This time around, the RPG elements have been ratcheted up as well, the puzzles have become better, and the platforming is tighter, all whilst still set in a gorgeous steampunk world. This is a joy to play and a must for almost anyone. It doesn't alienate audiences like other hardcore titles. At just $7.99, definitely one worth picking up. Super Chariot, the platformer puzzler from Microids, has a staggering 93% off. Playing as a princess and her fiancé, you need to drag a chariot with the late king's remains through 25 subterranean levels to his final resting place. Along the way, you are taunted by the ungrateful king's ghost. You get to face enemies, gather loot, and take physics-based puzzles. It's a well-accomplished game that has replayability and plenty of fun moments and secrets to find. It's decent on your own, but it's a real treat in local co-op, either in tabletop mode or on a TV. It's a solid package, and at this low cost, you really cannot go wrong. Image and Form continue to knock it out of the park with their Steamworld series. This time around, it is in the form of a turn-based RPG. It is fresh and fun to play with an intriguing and deep combat system that uses cards to great effect. The graphics and music are at the level that we have come to expect from these guys. This is another brilliant game from them, one worth picking up with 50% off. Silence is the follow-up to The Whispered World, and it's a point-and-click adventure that looks gorgeous. The theme is of personal growth and some dark discovery into your own fears. Apart from the looks, the audio is decent and the puzzles are enjoyable with a few different elements thrown in for good measure. The biggest issue with this game was its steep price tag. At $9.99, this is the biggest sale so far in this one and a much more reasonable ask. Dragons Dogma surprised everyone when it came out as one of the top modern RPGs from Capcom, no less. A developer we don't typically associate with RPGs. There are some similarities with their Monster Hunter series. It features gigantic enemies including, you guessed it, dragons and a huge open world. But there are deep combat systems here such as crafting and a large world full of characters to interact with. Its pawn system and excellent action-orientated combat set it apart. This is not one to miss. Speaking of which, the sale ends on the 29th, so be sure to snap it up as soon as you can if you are interested. Set on a post-human Earth, Defunct tells a story about a little unicycle robot on board a massive recycling aircraft, having some technical difficulties that it then goes to find spare parts for. During its quest, it is accidentally thrown out with the trash and must now brave the surface in an attempt to catch up and get back home. Yes, think Wall-E. It's an adorable, fast-paced and short platformer that is worth picking up for just 29 cents. Ruslan Evil was remastered back in 2015 and has now been ported onto the Nintendo Switch. The grandfather of survival horror, this game is all about the tension it builds. The controls and mechanics are largely unchanged from the 1996 original, and the old school style adds to the tension further. Ultimately, it's still a brilliant game, one that everyone should try out, and with 50% off, you can't go wrong. This one also ends on the 29th, so be sure to give it a check. Quest for the Golden Duck is a Pac-Man clone, and with 99% off, it's just 7 cents. If you're looking for a place to sink some stray gold coins, then here's a good place to do it. To its credit, it's not a bad title either. The dungeons are laid out nicely, and there's multiplayer and high scores to go after. You've got nothing to lose here, really. And there you have a bunch of bargains worth picking up. Let us know your pick this week down below, and next Sunday we'll give away a $10 eShop voucher. Speaking of which, last week's winner is Jay Steinbrink. Congratulations to you. Please email us and we will get you that voucher. You can read a lovely write-up of this list over at switchwatch.co.uk, as well as finding some awesome articles. That's it from us today, but if you enjoyed this, please tune back in next Sunday for more bargains, and Jordan's brilliant physical roundup will be out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. And Juan's amazing Naruto Shippuden 4 review is hot off the press and is out, so I do strongly recommend looking at that. If you enjoy our content, well, thank you for watching, and please do consider subscribing. Once again, a massive thank you to everyone who supports us. Have a great week and stay safe, everyone.